Do not.
Growing businesses need a hosting solution that is powerful yet easy to manage. Let's look at it.
Yes. Yes, sir. Good morning. Yes, sir. Uh, I sent you, sir. You have not received it, sir. Okay, okay. Just once again, I'm forwarding it. We already sent it, but I am forwarding it straight away. Just check it, sir. Just to check it. Sir. Good morning, Mr. Varun, sir. We can hear you.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, sir. How about you? So your audio is clear, sir. I think it's fine now. Comfortable.
I'm going to also. There are a couple of documents that we want to send them to everyone, whoever are the participants. So should I send it to you, and
Yeah,
then
you
you can
send it
forward
to
it?
us, sir. We will share it to them. You can just
Yes.
send it to us. I will share
So
it
you
to them.
design.
Yeah, yeah. So you can share it to us. Another 5, 6, 7 minutes left out. We'll start at sharp 11:30. We'll start. We'll start our session.
Okay.
Yes. So you'll be sharing some slides. I think we made you as a presenter. I think you can share your slides. You are sharing your slides, or will be on
So
talking
I'm
that?
sharing, a workbook with everyone. Rest everything I have physical slides like these.
Okay.
So
Great,
these
great.
because people are really bored of those slides elements. So we're going to be using a little innovative way of presenting things.
Great, great. Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
So
So
Mohit sir is also
we'll start 11:30. We'll start.
yeah. And how many people are we expecting today?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I'll just connect you on phone. I'll just connect you on phone. I'll just connect you. Yeah. Okay.
Hi Varun, how are you?
So you're muted.
Am I muted? Am I not audible? My voice is coming in. Varun?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Mohit, sir, we can hear you.
Are you not able to hear me?
I can hear you well, sir.
Ajay, let me call Varun.
No, I can. I can.
Acha, now you can hear me? Varun, now can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. So I said welcome. It seems there is some lag at your end, Varun. Internet issue or what? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I have started my
Okay,
internet.
now it's coming fine. Perfect. So you're going to do some PPT and stuff.
I have very interesting PPTs. These are my PPTs. So we're going
Ah,
to see. I want have a little dynamic environment while we are sharing all of this. So we have made our PPTs in these forms. Though I have a workbook which we're going to be sending it to all of them. I have sent it to Sir, and he will forward it to all the participants who are participating.
but yeah, fair enough. And it seems there is some. Your voice is coming a little bit low. If it can be improved a bit, then.
Just let me just check once. Is it better?
Bit better. Ajay, is it okay?
Yes, sir. It's fine.
Okay, so let us know when you are going live.
Yes, sir. We can start now, sir. Yeah, just a minute.
So we're ahead than schedule. People will get afraid of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, now.
Just, I think we have one more minute, sir. I think we should plan it.
Yeah, it's 11:30.
So we'll start, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning. I welcome you all for the third day of IP Literacy Week program. IP Literacy Week is a part of KAPILA, Kalam program of IP literacy and awareness, launched by our Honorable Minister of Education on 15th of October this 2020. So we have a 7-day a week program. So we have with our speaker, Mr. Varun, for that third day of our IP Literacy Week. So before we start the session, I request our Ministry of Education Innovation Cell Director, Dr. Mohit Gambhir, to say a few words before we start our session. Dr. Mohit, sir. Yes.
So very good morning to all. Friends, as you are aware of, we have initiated this huge program to spread the awareness on IP and cater to our nation building activity and initiatives. And in those series that started last week as in, so today is the third day running. In first day, we had the inauguration. Second day, I interacted with you all. And then moving on, in a very, very systematic manner, we have one of the very learned and the renowned speaker, which Dr. Ellen would be introducing to you very soon. And really, it was tough to get him on board, convince him, and then tell you people what it is. And we will be starting with the topic which you all must have received by now, ideation, how to ideate, how to think, how to move further, and then spread up things. So here we go, and I'm sure you would like to make the best of best use out of the sessions we are going to present. We have invited the speakers accordingly, and so that by the time fifth day onwards, you will be able to understand how to move on with your IP with some specialized efforts and guidance from some specialist professionals. Once again, I would welcome you all the very best, and make use of this program to the best of your capabilities. Thank you so much. Dr. Ellen, on to you, and I would like to welcome Mr. Varun as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So today, expert speaker, Mr. Varun, the founder of Proactive I. Mr. Varun has more than a decade of experience and has passionately helping people to break through and to take their lives to the next level. No matter how successful they are already, he empowers them to up-level his business, personal finance, and relationship, families, career, health, and self-discovery and academic, which has been his primary area. Varun trains students from various faculty and aptitudes, corporate professionals, and been conducting training program more than 20 locations in India and abroad. As a passionate inventor, Mr. Arun envisions to impact over millions of lives so far. His entrepreneuring company Proactive I works on diverse projects from education, meaningful gifts, innovation consultancy, and training. He has been instrumental in incubating few successful ventures and social initiatives within less than 3 year period of time. Mr. Varun is a core strategist for creating breakthrough, having the backing of learning from some of the ace names in the education of business, like Dr. Edward, Tony Buzan, Richard Bandler, etc. So he is privileged to learn modeling and distilling strategy that mix out the most of the latent potential proactive self or proactive I. So with this brief, I request Mr. Varun to address today on the topic of lateral thinking and how to generate revolutionary idea. Mr. Arun, platform is open to you. I welcome all the faculties and students across the country who have been part of this particular program. I'm sure you will all enjoy the rich experience of Mr. Varun through this session. So, Mr. Varun, the session is open to you now.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you everyone who is on the call today. One of the biggest challenges when we do a live session is, I'm not seeing who you are, where you are sitting right now. But that should not stop us to participate. And before we start, I would request everyone to start with a 30 seconds prayer. Whoever we feel our gods are, we regard them. Just close our eyes for 30 seconds, pray that this 1 hour we have their blessings with us so that we achieve the best out of today's session. So requesting everyone for just 30 seconds silence with this expression of gratitude and prayer to be to all those teachers and mentors in our lives. All right, so welcome all. Today we have 1 hour to accomplish something called how do I increase my ideation ability. And the way the program is structured today is we're going to have some deeper understanding the structure of our thinking, because once we understand that, we'll have direct access to be able to generate new ideas. So I would like everyone to start the day by asking yourself or looking at some of the problems that you are facing right now in your life. I am hoping that most of you have pen and paper with you, and we'll take a minute or two, and I would request everyone to reflect on some of the challenges that you are facing or the problems that you're facing, and pen it down, write it down on a piece of paper. For example, some of the generic problems as a nation that we're facing is how to increase the employment in the country. So that's one. How do I increase my personal finance? Other could be how do I register my intellectual property, or how do I become better at X. So whatever the problems that you are facing and you would like to improve, work upon, I'm requesting you to write that statement. And we're going to look at the design of something so fundamental and also discover why we're restricted to generate new ideas and how we can actually break that. Before we get into that, I'll repeat, what you need to do is have some of the fundamental problems that you are dealing with, write them down, something that you'd like to solve. So let's take a minute or two to reflect on some of the current challenges that you might want to solve. Take your time. So I'm going to wait for 2 minutes on this, and this will fundamentally set the context of participation. So everyone, whoever is participating today, look at some of the challenges that you'd like to solve, problems that you're having. And I'm requesting everyone, I know I'm repeating it again and again, but I'm really requesting everyone to pen it down. Statements. Go ahead. Some of you may be thinking, okay, why do I write it? Shouldn't I do it later? But genuinely speaking, any session only makes sense once you pull the session towards you. If you not participate and the engagement level is not there, there'll be some Gyan session happening and then the session will fade away. My intention is that we really create this engaging session, highly engaging. The only way to engage is for you to be able to create some context for participation. So right now, if you do not create your context for participation, it will just come and go. Generally speaking, do write problem statement. Have 30 more seconds. Even if you write one, that's okay. All right. Now I'm assuming that most of you have written some of the problems, that you're dealing with. This part of the session is about discovering the structure to which we express our problem. So if you look at this, the problem that you have written, let's uncover. If we go and ask ourselves how many problems exist in world, most of us will have this thing, there are millions of problems, that are existing in the world. But generally speaking, if you want to break down the problems, it can be fundamentally broken into only 6 problems. All problems, whatever they have, can fundamentally be only 6 problems. That's something that we're going to discover right now. It's so basic, but yet हमने उस तरीके से देखा नहीं है. We have not seen this from that perspective. So I'm assuming that everybody has written out the problem. Now, if you look at the structure of the problem, it will be like this. Either it's a who problem, or where problem, or how problem, or why problem, or when problem, or what problem. Like for example, I don't know what to do in my career. That could be a what. Or how do I do X, or how do I reach from point X to point Y? It's a what problem, how problem. Or, whom do I, propose? It could be who problem, or whatever. So if you look at any of the problems that we define, fundamentally we use these 5 W's and 1 H to define a problem. Now, if we look at how human beings think, there are fundamentally starting from these contexts, the what, where, how, when, etc. And then you get into the answering of that. So what we want to do right now is to unlock the structure of what these tools do to us and discover its limitation. Now, I want to set the outcome for today's workshop. The outcome for today's workshop is one basic, just to help each one of us to exponentially increase our ideation ability, to come up with out-of-the-box ideas, to think laterally, to invent new ideas, and to learn a mechanism which will help us ideate better. Now, in that context, there are two fundamental things that we want. Number one, understand. What understand? Understand and discover its limitation. And the second thing that we want is learn something beyond the realm from which we are thinking. Right now, the realm from which we are thinking is 5Ws and H. In fact, if you look at historically all the exams that you have given your academic journey, in fact, whatever has been asked to us, fundamentally boils down to these 5 categories, 6 elements. If you look at the question paper that you've answered, it was fundamentally 5Ws. Now, if we go beyond the world of 5Ws and 1H, we want to understand how do I come up with ideas which can be having a high level of individual. If you look at the history of majority of the interesting ideas that has ever hit humanity, it was accidentally happened. For example, if you look at the discovery of radium, somebody who was working on discovering radium, she accidentally stumbled upon the radium while she was working on something. The post-it notes that we use was fundamentally accidentally, done by someone while he was working in Wood's church, and he had some chemical, the 3M company, Arthur Fry. They have invented some gum which was, not the company did not know what to use it, and then something happened, and the entire concept of post-it came into existence. In fact, we have an entire presentation on different products and services that has come, and we'll look at it. But before all, we want to understand the structure. We think, and once we do that, we will discover its limitation. So, to share and repeat whatever I have done till now, I want to share two things. The entire outcome of today's session is to help each one of us exponentially increase our ideation ability. That's the one intention that we have for this 1 hour. Inside of this, we want to do two things. Number one is to understand, and number two is to learn a new skill that will phenomenally help my ideation abilities. So now doing the first part, the understanding. For understanding to happen, it is important for us to look at how we think. And fundamentally, we think from these fundamental questions, which are 5Ws and 1H: what, when, how, where, why, etc. Now, if you look at the design of 5Ws and 1H, you will notice that no matter what we are thinking, the content that comes out of that is descriptive in nature. Let me repeat. While we are thinking from the context of 5Ws and 1H, the content that comes out is by design descriptive in nature, which means it is influenced from my past. Nothing new is getting generated at this moment. And when I'm saying to increase our ideation abilities, we want to understand, how do I invent at this moment right now? How do I come up with interesting ideas right now? In novel ideas, new ideas right now? And for that to happen, we first need to understand our limitation. So let me give you an example. I'm going to ask you a question. How do we solve the problem of unemployment in the country? If I ask this question to each one of you, notice whatever answer you will give will all be something in the realm of that you already know. You're not going to hit into the unknown territory of your thinking. You'll be all sharing from the territory of something known, or in other words, we can call it past. So for example, now if you look at the structure of this, I started with how. So how was the premise from which the question was raised? How can we solve the problem of in the country? And then all that you know will be influenced from your past, the answer that will come. Notice, lateral thinking workshop is fundamentally about noticing how we are processing the information in this moment. Right now, moment by moment. So the very way I direct my attention at this moment by using 5Ws and 1H naturally takes my attention to the past. It does not hit the unknown territories of life, or the unknown territories of the mind, or unknown territories of work. And that's the fundamental limitation. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see who you are, where you are. Otherwise, I would, by listening your body language, I could have made out, who is thinking, where he is, and all that. But I'm again assuming. That is why I need to do a couple of repetition, because we are expecting some 2,000 participants over here. And I want to really make justice and do honor each one of you, that you really elevate your ability to think out of the box. And I'm telling you, friends, it's very important to understand first how we think. I'm going to repeat it once again. Notice, the very way we think is by using 5 W's and 1 H. हम 5 how, what, when, where, why, how से ही सोचते हैं. And उसी से ही फिर हमारे answers निकलते हैं. The question that I'm raising, the observation that I'm requesting each one of you to do this is, while we are doing 5 W's and 1 H, by design, the outcome that comes out, the content that comes out from this context is all influenced from the past. Now, if anything is influenced from the past or coming from the past, it does not let me to generate new ideas. So it is important to learn the limitation and break the fundamental design so that we're able to crack it and come up with something interesting. Now, let's do an experiment. Since again, I'm assuming everybody is out there listening to this conversation. I'm requesting everyone to do this and ask yourself a question, each from 5W and 1H. And notice the answer that comes out of that will fundamentally be, the only thing that you need to ask is two things. Is it generative or is it descriptive? Descriptive is something from the past. Generative is something like, in this moment, you've come up with something new. You did not know, aisa kuch hai, but at this moment, something new came up. And most of you will notice that majority of the content that comes out of you is descriptive. It is not generative. Now, once you crack that, then the next part of the session is all about learning a very powerful tool and learning 2 principles of our mind, how it thinks. And using that principles, we'll be able to leverage that and learn new tools which will help us exponentially increase our ideation. So notice, go ahead and just do this exercise for 2 minutes. Ask yourself questions sprouting from 5 W's and 1 H, and ask yourself, is the content that is coming out of you descriptive or generative? कुछ नया आंसर आ रहा है या पुराना ही निकल रहा है, past के influence है? Just notice this. I'm going to wait for 2 minutes for this. So for example, I'm going to assist you in doing this exercise. Ask yourself a question starting from what? Ask yourself questions from where? Any question from where? Or you could be asking yourself questions from how? Or what? Or when? All that answer is coming. Is it describing what you already know? Or you are able to come up with interesting out of the box ideas? And that's the discovery that each one of us need to make, right? And you will notice that majority of the answers or the content that is coming out is descriptive. Now, when we are saying lateral thinking, increasing our ability to ideate so that we can become, as a nation, highly, potent as an intellectual property people, wherein we are able to create more IPs. The access to do that is be able to generate new ideas. Now, while I am assuming that most of you have done this observation, the question is that we want to change the design itself of how do we direct our attention, not from the descriptive tools. So consider these are all descriptive tools of thinking. We want to remove them and come up with something beyond the 5 W's and 1H. And these tools, which are generative thinking tools, are designed to help us generate interesting ideas and create new ideas. Before we get into learning the generative thinking, I want to share with you the 2 things about our mind. Whenever is thinking, it has got majority of its thinking influenced from its past. That's principle number 1. And the principle number 2 is our mind cannot keep 2 pieces of information unconnected. It always has to create some connection. So if we trigger our mind to connect the unconnected, the mind cannot keep these 2 pieces of information unconnected. It always has to create some new connection. all that the mind can do while you're connecting the unconnected, either mind will do three things. Either it will reject it, connect something with the past itself, or generate something new altogether. So for example, I'm going to draw this and share it with you. So consider like a track. While you're thinking from 5Ws, all that is coming is the influence of past. But now, when we're saying about the lateral thinking or the inventive thinking, when you mix two pieces of information unconnected in these two tracks, which are actually going like this, suddenly a new idea starts emerging. You will see the magic in few minutes. So let me give you a metaphor for that. The metaphor is like a librarian. Imagine you're a librarian of a huge library and you get a book. You get a book and the book is being there where you notice the title of the book and you don't know which section it belongs to. What will you do? Either you will create a new section, or you will put this book in some of the existing section, or you'll reject the book saying that this book cannot happen in our library because there is no sections like this. All the librarian can do with the new book or the new title is three things. Number one, place it in some existing section. Number two, create a new section altogether. Or number three, reject it. The same goes with our mind also. When our mind is influenced or triggered with new actions or two unconnecting objects, the mind either will reject it, connect it something with the past, or trigger a new idea, create a new idea. Most of the time, when the two unconnected are connected, the potential to come up with a new idea exponentially increases. So to leverage about this insight of our mind, that it cannot keep two pieces of information unconnected, it always has to create some connection. What we need to do is design and learn, which can by conscious decision and conscious choice, we could connect the unconnected often. Now, at this stage, it is important to discover and learn. In the entire journey of inventing, there are fundamentally four stages. Number one is called discover or understand user. You want to discover the problem, understanding the problem. Number one. Second is explore. In exploration, you are exploring various possibilities. And number third is test. And number fourth is launch. Now, in these four stages, lateral thinking is very handy in this exploration stage of life. When I say exploration, it is like you are wanting to explore new ideas. Why you want to explore new ideas? Because you want to solve the problem for that particular subject matter that you have decided to choose and work on. So while you're in the second phase of the inventing process, most of us lack the tool to explore and come up with radical ideas. You must have heard of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. The similar actually applies over here also. While we're going to generate 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 different random ideas, out of those, the 5 or 10% of them will be like very awesome, cute, beautiful ideas. In fact, while I was doing research on how some of the best inventors in the globe worked, and it was fascinating to know that in Edison's lab, there was this thing called invention quota. Like in most of the organizations, we have sales quota. These guys had something called invention quotas. What that mean was every 3 weeks, there will be one small invention that they need to do. And every 6 months, one major invention. Now, just by creating this quota, they were able to invent. That's some of the fascinating thing about it. Now, while this invention thing is happening in each one was happening with Edison's lab, it is interesting to understand, is this access available only to Edison and his lab, or is it some principle that most of the humanity is unaware of? And once if we understand that, we could also elevate our invention abilities. Mohit sir, who actually has set up this initiative to create a powerful ecosystem of inventions across the nation. I think one of the only ways that we could do is once we enable skill sets, mindsets, and tools to be able to do. So I'm here to introduce you to a new tool called PO, which which is one of the most fundamental and powerful tool of lateral thinking. So let all of us do this. So the first tool is called PO. Po actually has its roots from provocation. Provocation is fundamentally what? Now notice, while there is information in our head, like for example, when I say the word ball, what comes to your mind? If there's a chat box, I'm requesting everyone to just share that, whatever comes to your mind. When you think of the word ball, what associations do you have? The word ball. Some of you might say cricket, some of you might say football, some of you may say size, some of you say yellow, smiley color, or materials, leather, image, tennis, etc., etc., etc. Notice the content that is coming out from your head is all coming from where? It's again coming from your past experiences, past influences, past understanding of things. Now, so what we need to do is consider the ball, the associations that you have around the word ball is all mentioned over here. Now, if I ask you another thing, flower. Now, when you think of the word flower, what comes to your mind? And you will notice, you will say, things like, giving, gift, expression, emotion, colorful, nature, bounty, beautiful, whatever. Now, the associations that you have around the word flower is again influenced from the past exposure of the word flower. Now, what if I tell you the word flower and ball are connected? And what if I say flower, po, ball? Now, suddenly you'll notice that probably you have not seen that connection. You have not tried to connect both of them. It kind of visibly are in different libraries of the brain, which is the self-organizing system of the brain. Now, what we are trying to do is this pattern and this pattern, we're trying to mix them together, so-called unconnected to the connected. Now, ball, po, flower. You will notice there will be a little stretch in your head, and all that you could head or mind would do is three things. Either it will reject, no, there's no connection, or it will connect something from the past, or sprout a new idea altogether right away. And that's genuine thinking, my friend. If you're able to generate a new idea right away, then, or with the help of, in a minute or two or whatever, if you just stay enough with these two insights and say ball, po, flower, since our mind cannot keep two pieces of information unconnected, and if you just stay for a while, the mind has to connect and create new associations. It just cannot not connect and cannot create new associations. It has to. And this is the insight majority of the inventors in the globe and the so-called successful people, including Leonardo Da Vinci, knew. If you look at the work of Leonardo Da Vinci, one of the very inspired painting of his is called the Dragon. And when I was studying the design of the dragon, what he fundamentally did was he just picked up different elements and put them on one painting. किसी animal का बाल ले लिया, किसी का नाक ले लिया, किसी के दांत ले लिए, किसी का सींग ले लिया, and he just poured one element of each of these guys and painted it to one new canvas, and that became a interesting drawing. While I was getting trained with Edward de Bono on lateral thinking, actually his brother Peter took our training. He just came from China, and he was sharing on the very insightful side that the workshop that happened to that company was basically a gaming company. So at the background, this was like 15 days intervention, 3 days intervention, and while this company had generated in last 3 years some 52 concepts of gaming, in 3 days of brainstorming, they were able to do 252 different gaming concepts. So fundamentally, thinking out of the box and generating new ideas is not about timeline. It's about having the right skill set and tools to be able to understand how the mind thinks and do justice by using those tools and come up with interesting ideas. In long workshops that we do, which is around 2 days, full 2 days workshop, where we invite participants to learn all these tools and then they start brainstorming, etc. Suddenly you will notice that a lot of interesting ideas starts emerging. And these are ideas. In 2 days we kind of generate 1,000+ ideas, and out of them 10 are like very, very powerful, which has the power to be actually launched into a new product or a service itself. The beauty is that journey of creating those 1,000 ideas is phenomenally awesome. And all that we do is use all these powerful tools of creative thinking. So right now, I've shared a workbook with each one of you, and requesting sir to share the workbook with everyone. And while the workbook is going to come to you, we want to do some exercise with you right away for next few minutes on PO. So I am requesting everyone to take two random objects, two random things, and pour them together, and stay with this and see if you can come up with interesting idea. I am sure if each one of you pay a little attention to how this happens, you will learn something very, very interesting and powerful about our mind. And it's like a new skill that you would have learned, which you can carry for life. I was reading, one of the case studies of Lipton tea when they launched their iced tea. One of the executives, it said that while he was, in the conference, he stumbled upon by mistake, put some ice on the tea, and that's where the idea came. Why can't we make iced tea? If you look at the history of burger, it has similar story. If you look at the history of pizza, it has some story. If you look at the history of frisbee, it has some interesting story. All fundamentally that is connecting the unconnected and coming up with an interesting idea. I'm inspired by this case study of Velcro, the object that we use in our bags and all the packaging material. Velcro was inspired by one of the things that you see in the jungle. It gets stuck in the material that gets stuck in our, cloths and etc. It was actually inspired from that. And this guy happens to invent the entire Velcro product. In fact, the first iPod that you must have used was actually designed. The design element was inspired by a washing machine. So there are some countless examples that we could look into and look at its history, where it got inspired. It was basically the unconnected. And when the world talks about, out of the box thinking, it looks like a luxury. It looks like a element of wow, but this is a skill that all of us can learn and make it like, something that can elevate our out of the box thinking. So let's come to some basic practices. Before we do that, I will quickly repeat what I said. Our brain always thinks from its past understanding. And number two, our brain cannot keep two pieces of information unconnected. We want to leverage on the second mechanism. How we leverage is we want to consciously keep giving triggers to the unconnected and let the brain create some connection. How do we? The first tool that we have learned, in fact, we're going to restrict our learning today to first tool itself, is PO. What is PO? PO is basically connecting the unconnected. Like the first exercise that we do, flower, PO, ball. It might not sound that there is a connection, but you stay enough with that, you might come up with an interesting insight. Right now, I'm asking each one of you to share your insights on flower, PO, ball. What comes to your mind? And after you've done that, I'm requesting each one of you to take two random objects and pour them together and see if there's something interesting that comes out. So let's practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep sharing some of the insights that you could actually do to be able to trigger off interesting observations and connections. For example, pen, PO, charger, or water bottle, PO, fan, air conditioner, PO, chair. Now, when you say statements like these, some of the brain is used to only the 5 W's and 1 H, the so-called the descriptive mode of thinking. It starts getting a little pull on its muscles, and suddenly it's because the brain cannot keep two pieces of information unconnected. पूरा अंदर कहर होने लगती है. There's a movement of I would say the mental drama that starts happening, where you want to actually think of something interesting, because suddenly the brain cannot keep that information somewhere. It has to find its place. So it struggles to find connection. In that struggle, it just starts thinking laterally and throws off an interesting idea. So consciously, we can actually trigger more of these things with using lateral thinking or so-called generative thinking tools, be able to go beyond the past and start inventing or ideating for the future or something inventive. How do I know if you have shared interesting idea? I have to check once again. All right. So I have no access to, seeing if you have shared anything, but I'm assuming that most of you have done it. So
Varun, you can access the YouTube channel and comments. A lot of people are interacting, a lot of people are sharing, and the link is here with you in the chat itself.
well, I just got another device. All right. So this very interesting, engagement happening on the YouTube, which I was not aware of. So awesome. Now, uh, while I'm sorry, while you guys are starting to do Glasspo, etc., this is very interesting. Now, what we have done is we've just set forth one of the basic element of generative thinking. Most of you will start noticing naturally you have elevated your ability to think over the books, and that's the first foundational stage. Very, very powerful. And like that, there are a lot of other tools, which we can learn to elevate our creative thinking ability. Now, one of the important thing that you guys are doing, I also want to, understand, and I want you to understand that one of the, yeah, once again, I'm just, yeah. Now, guys, most of you, while you're sharing two random objects and poem, I want each one of you to start noticing and be with that thought and see if you can come up with interesting idea. Like somebody shared pen, towel. Can we come up with some interesting idea? And if I'm promising you, if you can just stay with that for a few minutes, you'll be able to definitely come up with very, very interesting ideas. So so requesting everyone to just be with that and see if you can start coming up with interesting ideas. And now, while all of you are thinking and sharing, keep writing those beautiful ideas, the innovative ideas that you are having in a separate list. We will all have that. And me, Mohit sir, are committed to create an ecosystem of innovation in our country where we can help you filing IPs for that, helping you manufacture it, actually launch it, and create this culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. So, with the interest of time, I also want to share with you, couple of more tools and make you learn something called concept challenge. So, before we go there, this is very interesting. Whiteboard plus car, and so many interesting things that you guys are doing. It's inspiring. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, should we go to the next tool or should we do something which I have uh, in structure to offer something? 1 second. Should we? All right. So here's another tool for all of you. It's called the concept challenge. What is concept challenge is basically understand, like we have 5 W's and 1 H for our descriptive thinking, like that in the world of generative thinking, you learn 4 as one of the tools. Like that, there is another thing called concept challenge. And there are many more actually. So we're going to learn the another one also now. And that is concept challenge. If you look at concept, the word concept, it is basically two things: the value and the design. Let me give you an example. If you look at the example called pen, the word pen has got two things. One is the value that you derive out of using the pen, which is to be able to write. And the second is design, which is like the sleek model, so-called the design of this pen or pencil, whatever. We can challenge both of them. So concept challenge is looking at the history of all the products and services invented or designed by humanity and challenging them with the possibility of new innovation. How many of you are aware of who invented the concept of university, or who invented the concept of restaurants, or who invented the concept of public toilets? Who invented the concept of pulls or the flyovers? All these are the concepts somebody invented. In fact, Edward de Bono, my guru who actually taught us the lateral thinking skills, says every government should have a dedicated department on so-called the concept governments or innovation governance. The government of Singapore has a dedicated governance dedicated to innovation. Now, what they do is inside of that is constantly look for innovative concepts that can help solve human problems. I'm proud to share with you one of the powerful concepts that we have invented, and we are actually working on that. Is called the fourth environment, and also a concept that we have invented called Solve City. So I'd like to brief you about a concept called Solve City, just as an example. Solve City is basically a infrastructure where somebody can participate in it, not just for 4 years in the college, but for his lifetime. And in this entire journey of his life, he could come to Solve City to learn, evolve, and grow and contribute as a citizen of Solve City. Now, I have noticed one of the problems for majority of the people who have reached 50 plus, they have a lot of time which can be used productively. But there's a sense of gap of what to do, when to do, how to do. And this kahan jaye samajh hi nahi aata. And understanding those, we invented this concept of Solve City, and I think this can have a very, very powerful leverage on helping them become more productive and have a fulfilled life. So I want each one of you to look at concept challenge as another tool. Unfortunately, I'll not be able to dive deep much on this because after 2-3 minutes, I want to get into question and answer session and take some of the questions. But to share with you concept and challenge, the word challenge is, I'm sure, understood that you can challenge it. Concept has two things, the value and the design, and you can actually challenge both of them. And that is what concept challenge is. And what it does, it's like a top, you could hit and challenge historically what has happened in the past. I still recall Steve Jobs example. One of his speech, he said, like, I see two kinds of people living their life. One, where there's a stream flowing and they're flowing in that stream. And second, there's stream flowing and they're not satisfied where the stream is flowing and they stretch another layer and ask the water to flow along. So concept challenge is the access to do that. While experiencing any product or services, you could challenge them for further innovation. And disruption can only be caused by challenging such concepts. In fact, historically, all the innovators, what they did were actually constantly challenging the status quo. Now, how to challenge the status quo is a skill that can be learned. Tools of generative thinking are very, very powerful ways of helping each one of us break that. And it's a skill that can be learned. So it's 12:16 now. I have a workbook which I have shared, requesting sir, if he has not shared the workbook, to share it with all of you actually. And I'm here open to taking some of the questions, and then we want to leave another 4-5 minutes before the session closes. Anybody who's interested to know more about, you could actually contact Mohit sir. Me and Mohit sir have been working closely for many years now, and we have this dream that we want to elevate the entire ecosystem of India towards better innovation. And I think I have cracked a lot of codes on how to elevate people's creative intelligence. And Mohit Bhai is working on helping each one of us develop the IPs around it, so that we can sell them, become financially powerful by using them. So that's a little background of the work. I'm really curious to look at some of the questions that you may have, and I want to dedicate some of the time for 5 to 10 minutes on that, and then we can we can we can see what to do next. So yes, over to sir, and I'm looking forward to um, uh, question and answers.
Just a minute. The participants are typing their question. I will ask on behalf of them. Dear participants, you can type whatever question you want to ask to the speaker.
Yeah, one second. How do I know? Yeah.
Okay, just a minute.
So have you shared the workbook with them?
Just we are shared now. Just now we are shared.
Yeah. Can you be a little louder?
Yeah, just now we shared the workbook. Just now we are shared with the agenda. So there is a question from a professor. Why generating idea is easy and implementing is hard? The question is
Oh
why
yeah, yeah.
generating idea
So
is easy?
the ideas is easy and implementation is hard. Is that what the question is?
Exactly.
Okay. So I would love to extend this conversation. I want to give you a case study. Okay. So and I'm sure this like we're learning idea generation tool. There's an entire tool that we have on execution also. So I want to share a case study with each one of you. Very recently. We had this crazy idea of how would it be if KitKat, the company KitKat, the Nestle company KitKat has those KitKats, 3 or 4 of them. How would it be if we design in packaging like a cartoon character, one for me, one for my friend, one for my another friend? So that this way, while I'm having the KitKat, we can imbibe this quality of sharing with our friends, and it's in the design of KitKat packaging itself. So we had this crazy idea and we wanted to share it with the CEO of Nestle. While we had this idea, a team of us, while we were brainstorming on this, a team of us thought, how do we execute it? We kept asking ourselves, what is required to execute? So we asked, what is required to execute is we want to connect to the CEO of Nestle. Okay, what is required to connect to the CEO of Nestle? Okay, we need to have his email address. Okay, what is required to have his email address? We need to go and search. Okay, what is required to go and search? We need to go onto the internet. Okay, what is required to go onto the internet? Somebody said I can just go and quickly search. The one person went and started searching on the email address of CEO Nestle, some Schumer, whatever his name is. Now he went on there, he actually searched and we got it. Now what is required? Oh, we need a prototype of that Nestle KitKat design. Who can design the prototype? Somebody actually quickly designed the prototype and we did it. So now what is required? Somebody needs to draft an email to be able to send it. Okay, what is required to write a draft email? Somebody was there who actually said, okay, I can draft an email. Somebody quickly, that gentleman drafted an email. All the three combined together. So you won't believe, from that idea, in next 15 minutes, exactly on the 15th minute, we actually sent that mail to the CEO of Nestle without knowing anything about it. So again, this is a thinking skill. It's not the timeline. It's the engagement of what we do at that particular time frame. And all these tools, so this is just an introduction of what we did today. This is a flora and fauna of creative thinking that we have discovered. I am again using this as a metaphor, the flora and fauna, which is like the skill set, the thinking set, the mindset, and the environment set all combined together to be able to create that element. And that is what we are committed to do that in India, so that we are able to elevate our ability, not just in ideation, but execution also. Like I myself, when I was growing in this culture of Indian ecosystem around the education, I used to find that I would come up with an idea, but I would have no access to executing it. Today also I struggle with that. Why? Because we don't have that infrastructure. The idea is that all of us should be able to create an ecosystem of execution where we help each other grow. One of the very powerful concepts, we used Po. We invented this concept of lazybilance. We invented the concept of lazybilance, and the concept of lazybilance was all inspired by ambulance service. So while we're getting stopped by something that we want to do in life, and majorly it's because of laziness, we created ambulance po lazy, and boom, a concept of lazybilance actually came into the picture. And we actually have this service inside of a proactive eye. All the participants can help each other, and all of us who help each other are called Dr. Yes. So this is how we've been sharing this and helping each other grow. So to give you the answer, if you keep asking yourself what is required, what is required, what is required, what is required, till you get an access to action right now, keep asking. And if you do it enough, you will keep getting what can be done right now. We were doing a workshop for Mercedes, a few years back. And these guys came up with the idea of something called a spy camera to give a surprising moments with our customers kind of a concept. So you won't believe, in 3 hours, we executed the first prototype of that service. And all that we did was keep asking what is required. From this idea, the dealer of spy camera came to the office, to all that designing, and all that happened in 3 hours. So I have enough, a lot of inventions that we do. I also run a innovative gifting company where we invent interesting gifts, and all that we do is keep using these tools to invent new ideas. Yeah. So the workbook will be just coming to you. I have again sent a request to sir to be able to send it to each one of you. Even if you do not get, please write to us at varun@proactiveye.in. Actually, in the workbook, we have that email address. In case the workbook is not gotten for whatever technical reason, you could write to us and we will send it to you. Or you can write to another email which sir will share with you, and you can share it that also. So can you share the email address or contacts for to them to be able to do it?
It's nothing but kapila@aect-india.org. We'll share you in the WhatsApp.
Keep taking the screenshot.
So the next question is, whenever any idea comes up in mind, what will be the first step to execute it? The question is, whenever any idea comes up in mind, what will be the first question to execute it? It's from another faculty member who's been part of this program. Varun, can you hear us?
Yeah. So if any idea is coming, what is the first step? As I said, if you remember, for any IP to be powerful IP, it has to have 4 stages. Number 1, understanding the user for whom you are inventing the product or the service, and you need to be serving to their need, solving their problem. So you need to have a very good, thorough understanding of this. Number 1. Second is exploring. The idea is random. They need to go through a process of structure where you can understand for whom we are inventing. Is it really solving that problem? One of the founders of Intel said this. I see all the CEOs left, right, and center talking about their product, but hardly we see someone who is empathizing enough to understand the user. There's a separate set of conversations that we do. We call it something called value proposition design, which is stage 2 of creative thinking, where you start learning to become an inventor, which is not random, but someone who creates tremendous amount of value. And there's an entire process to be able to do that. And I would love to share that with you. Please write to us. We'll share more information on that to you, sir. But to just give you this perspective, there are 4 stages of successful inventing. Number 1, understanding the user from whom we are inventing. Second is exploring possibilities. All that we did today was the second stage, access. How do we come up with interesting ideas? The third is testing. To be able to test the possible exploration, is it really fitting to the user need? And the fourth is actually launch. So this all is a cycle that is ever evolving, and that's how you launch a successful idea or an idea.
Yes, thank you. We have a next question.
Sir, your voice is not audible. What is the?
Not audible, is it? Now,
can you
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah. So next question is, what should we do?
Set of conversations that we do. We call it
What
something
should
called
we
value
do? Our idea as
design, which is
don't have
stage 2
programming.
of creative thinking.
As an individual. Okay.
Varun, from your end, parallel YouTube is also going on, I believe. So you need to mute that, and that's the reason 2 channels are just colliding.
Okay, you need to stop this. Stop this. You exit from that.
No, just mute it up, and then you will be able to hear what Dr. Langovan is speaking. Okay.
It's audible. Yeah. Mr. Varun. Yes, Mr. Varun. The question is, what should we do if our idea has programming need, if we don't have programming?
Again for the audio setup. Give me a minute.
Yes.
Alan, what was the question? Maybe.
Yes, sir. The question is, what should we do if our idea has programming need and we don't have programming skills?
Okay. Certainly, I can take that. See, friends, so while Varun joins in, so this is a very, very common question which our students, faculties, and everybody comes up with. Even I myself ask this question many a times, that if we do not have that programming skills and we want to implement something. So Varun, I am taking the question or responding on your behalf. The question was that what shall I do if I do not have any programming skills and I have the idea which requires programming? So friends, the situation is obviously we need to hunt around that what has to be the requirement, what has to be the logic flow, what has to be the flow of our process, and certainly then we need to contact the enablers. There are so many agencies who help us down, who whom we can connect with. Even in colleges, there are so many students available who are very, very skilled in different aspects. And if you are moving on for a venture, for a startup, to the people who are listening out there, there is no harm in taking a co-founder or co-enabler on board, so that that fellow can also move in. So it's all about collating, getting together, making things happen together, but with some streamlined terms and legalese which has to be taken care of. So it's nothing is deterrent in today's scenario. If I know something, I am handicapped in some or the other skill set, certainly I need to look around, I need to tap the right talent and make a stronger team. Until unless you have a team, then I believe it's a real challenge. You need to understand that. And there is no issue or no harm in getting the right help, right time, instead of keep sitting on your idea. That's much more harmful.
Yes, sir. So other question, faculty members. Thank you, Mohit sir, for intervening and answering for the question. Thanks for that. So now we have other question from a faculty. I have invented many things in the past, so almost a decade, but I'm unable to get an investor. Can you suggest me where did I lack? So he himself raising and also asking it, where did he lack for that actually? So he invented number of ideas, but he was not able to get right set of investors. So what is the best approach we should follow?
Maybe again, Varun, again, pardon me.
I was already requesting you to be answered. Yeah.
Okay, so friends, like this kind of a question which is coming in from our end, we have come up with Yukti 2.0, where all those participants and say that we are not able to get the investors. See, it's again it's a race. Let me tell you. So let me tell you, for even one of my venture, I actually ended up meeting quite a few, not, if I say, less than 40 to 45 investor meet I had. It's all about with whom your idea clicks, who believes in you, and how strong you are to put your skin in the game. These are few basics of working on your idea. It is nothing like that I have an idea and somebody will come, out of the blue and put in the money in what I'm thinking about. No, see, until and unless there are stakes involved, it's all about money game when it comes to the investment scenario. Coming down from our end, from ministries and from MOE's innovation cell end, we have devised Yukti 2.0 to handhold all the ideas from a very nascent to different readiness level scales, whereby we will be inviting the investors so that they can interact, they can have virtual roadshows till the time we have this physical meetings and other things enabled, and the ideas can present their ideas, obviously getting their IP protected beforehand. That is something which I always say, and that is the essence of KAPILA, that people, they need to understand that before going public with their idea, they need to protect their idea first. Yeah. Alan, do we have more questions?
Sir, just left out. We are having one more question coming from Anand from IIT. He is asking that how to check our idea is patentable or not.
Anand, that is for sure. You need to hire some expert in the domain, which and they have their databases, proprietary databases are there a lot of, and so as a technology geek, what you can simply do is you can do Google, you can go patents.google.com, you can look around what is there, but and then if you are looking for a free resources, like you can go for free patents online, you can go for USPTO site, you can go to EPO site, you can go to Indian Patent Office site. So they have all kind of different search string mechanism which you can run down, just like an advanced web search you do. You need to devise out some terminologies. Maybe that will end up in another class of mine whereby we teach that how to do an efficient IP searching. But on the contrary, it is pretty much easy. You can do that. But if you are looking for exact that whether it is not, or patentability or a novelty search, you might end up consulting some expert in that who has the access to proprietary databases as well. So that's the take from my end.
Yes. Sir, Mohit sir, I think next question, it's again a core question to you. I think how to identify a legitimate agency for IP.
Oh my goodness. So I'm not going to. So I'm not going to name or brand or any agency here. But the thing is, you need to talk couple of people. The person whom you feel like that yes, they have the competent team. They are able to understand what you are. See, friends, for a patent agent or a patent agency, I'll always say that person has to have at least 10 steps ahead from an inventor's perspective, because it involves techno-legal aspects, which as an inventor may not be, and it's not an inventor job to think about all those techno-legal aspects. It's all about that professional's job to take care of it. It is all about in the medicine field. It's not your task to look around and stitch your skin if you have completed your surgery done. It's the specialist's job to perform that particular task. And in a very similar manner, it's the specialist's job to provide you that guidance. Now it's on to you to do the relevant background, to talk with, do not talk without signing an NDA in quotes, because you are sharing something which might end up making what not, maybe multi-million dollars as well. The idea may be worth like that. So hire the agency which understand you, which you believe in, which you feel like is competent enough to support you, and then accordingly decide. So your objective should be very, very clear. Your thought process should be very clear. And then certainly you need to talk, interact, and move on that how it has to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. So next question is, do we have any kind of portal to identify the same kind of innovation which he is carrying out is existing in the market or not?
So I believe that is something which before I already answered. There are a lot of publicly available sites. It's like you can go to Indian Patent Office site, you can go to US Patent Office site, EP, that is European Patent Office site, you can do patents.google site, you can certainly do that. There are a lot of free IP search engines available. So you can certainly do the initial stuff from your end as such. But if you need an exact answer, you may end up hiring a professional who has the access to proprietary databases. From there on, they can dig up the details and guide you that whether this particular feature or the novelty is existing or not, or your innovation or the thought process is already available in public domain or not. So that is, I'm really happy that people are coming up with these questions, because it is a very similar thing. Instead of investing whole of your effort in doing something which is already existing, so reinvention of the wheel must be curtailed, and really kudos to the people who are asking these cues.
So yes, I think we are also up by already 5 minutes delayed. So we can close our session. Now it's 12:35. So thank you, Mohit sir, for interviewing and just answering to a few questions. So also I thank Mr. Varun for a fantastic presentation. Yeah, just giving a lot of, you made the session very lively. No, just having a lot of demos made and very active participants, and made participants also ask a number of questions. Thanks for sparing your valuable time and being with us in spite of your busy schedule, and being part of this program. We're looking forward for your continuous support through this IP initiative. So we should be very much useful for our faculty members and students across the country who have been part of this particular program. Thank you, Mohit sir, also being part of this program and just answering questions and addressing the participants. So to all the faculty members who have been part of this particular program, as IP Literacy Week third day, so far we have been conducted the event which is at Innovation Cell at centrally conducted event. Now we also shared few schedules to you where the students, faculty should conduct the event at the institute level, and they are supposed to upload the report. In such activity, today we have proposed in our schedule to encourage students and faculty staff to write a case studies article regarding innovation, IP, and entrepreneurship culture. So I request the head of the institution and Institute Innovation Council presidents to convey to the students and faculties and prepare their activities, participate in that, and submit the report. The IIC institutes can submit their report through the IIC portal. If the institutes are not registered in IIC portal, I kindly request them to register now, and there is an option for them to upload their report on the portal. So I kindly request everyone to be part of this particular initiative. And end of the each program, you will be shared with the link where the questions will be asked based on the session. So they can fill their question and participate in all the event. And at the end of the day, in the seventh day event, we will have an assessment made, and you will be distributed the questions certificate within 2 weeks time, as an e-certificate will be given on behalf of Ministry of Education and Innovation Cell. So I request everyone to participate and take a valuable certificate, which will be a value addition to you for your CV. Also, tomorrow we have a session on building up. Just a minute. Today's tomorrow session. Yeah. Sorry. Tomorrow we have a session between 11:30. Next 4 days we have 11:30 to 1 session, which have been scheduled as a part of IP Literacy Week. Tomorrow's session is on seeding ideas to harvesting innovation for social good, a role of IP. So this is a session which will be handled by a senior expert, Prabodh Ganguly, CEO Vision IPR. So, and also parallelly, we from 12:30 to 1, we have a IP clinic which was newly introduced, and it's an idea of our director Mohit Gambhir sir. Just we will have an IP clinic, so which will have an interaction like how we are interacting with the doctors. We'll interact with the IP expert. So we will have a deputy controller of patent and design who will be an expert of that. Mr. Samir Kumar Saurabh will be an expert, and our director, Dr. Mohit Gambhir sir, will moderate that session. So I request all the participants. We have also shared a Google form questions which are supposed to be asked during the session. Please share your questions. We will ask on behalf of you, and Dr. Mohit Gambhir will coordinate this session, moderate this session, and will be. I'm very sure you will be at the end of this 5 days, 7-day session. You will have enhanced the skills in the IPR. So with this remarks, I would I thank all the participants. There are more than 3,000 plus participants across the country being part of this particular program. So I once again thank the expert speaker and Mohit Gambhir sir for his participating in this particular program. I'm looking forward all the faculties and students to continuously participate in next 4 days program and get benefit out of it. Thank you all once again, and so you. Yes, please.
Question forms that we designed. I sent you the form. We can actually request them to fill that. Today's question and answer session.
Sure, it's already shared, sir. Mr. Varunji, we have already shared that question to the participants. So I'll also share their answers with you. So there will be a good response from our participants. They are very actively participating. For your kind information, we had recently conducted an IAC program where we had more than 35,000 reports across the country which were submitted. The participants, students who participated. Our faculty members and students are very aggressive, and they continuously follow Ministry of Education Innovation Cell activities. So I will just give you the feedback tomorrow. You will be overwhelmed by the response what we are getting so far. Thank you, Varunji, once again. So looking forward for you all to again meet in tomorrow's session. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Varun. Thanks, Dr. Alan. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.